Ano na, Reddit? Hi guys, it's in English. Kamusta? How are you, Reddit? And how is everyone? This is the Sorc Hydra crit that I have. First things first, we're not using any glitch exploit, anything. The highest clear that we have on the tower pit is 105, so no bug, no glitch right there. What do we have? We have only two legendary items, the staff and the gloves. What is this build? The build revolves around the aspect of the elements. So elements on the staff, fire tempering on the staff, fire tempering on the gloves. On the Tal Rasha, instead of cooldown, we are using non-physical damage, and we're using the only boots which has the non-physical damage, which is the Rakanoth Wake. So you get where we're going here. We're stacking lots of non-physical damage because we are using the Enlightenment passive. In town, our fire damage is at 2,146 before we enter the pit. We use Elixir, Resourcefulness, Soothing Spice, Song of the Mountain, Sage Whisper. Our armor is capped at 1,000, as well as our resistances. Our fire damage in town, 2,146. It's gonna be a lot higher when we are in the pits, and it's gonna be much higher when we are enlightened, which I'll show later on. Now, 6,000 while we are at the pits. I'll run the one pit 100 and I'll show you the rest of the gear afterwards. Normally, well, it's the first time I'm using Inferno. When I was leveling, I was using the Flame Shield instead. So I'm still using the Kree rune, the Vortex rune. I could probably skip the Vortex rune and get more damage. So that's for later. Very nice. See, it's redundant, Kree and Inferno. By the way, guys, if you're below Paragon 200, don't do pit 100s. You won't have enough toughness for it, since you won't have enough Paragon points to get the damage reduction nodes on the board. So wait, maybe I guess Paragon 220 or so you can get some of the both the damage and the damage reduction nodes on the board. That's why I recommend. The plan later on is to get more obsidites, try to masterwork the Tal Rasha as well as the boots. So triple critting would be a huge boost to our damage. But right now we can clear. Usually it takes around 5 minutes, sometimes even faster if we get a good map. That is. Where are you? I wish I had more uptime on the Inferno, but I sacrificed the boots to more non-physical damage. But it's working fine, I guess. See, I know that the Hail of Verglas mathematically is better. Get intelligence, cooldown, and 100 multiplicative damage. The perdition is only at 60. However, I don't have the APM for it. And we're using a staff also. Oh, I shouldn't have taken the crit. Anyhow, I was saying, if you're fast, you're young, you can take the Verglas, I guess, for the more damage. But this is much more relaxed. What I'm doing, I'm only spamming the ball lightning and the crit and the Hydra whenever That's the rotation basically. So it's easy. No Vergless, no eye shards, anything. And get as much damage reduction so I can tank. Less dodging, more farming. Normally spawns him the boss at around 5 minutes. Let's see how this is gonna work. I teleported too early. Show me the damage. There. Let's go. Come on, enlightenment. Enlighten me. There it is. Should spawn anytime soon. Today, spawn the boss. There we go. Right on cue. 10 minutes. Just waiting for the maximum mana before I cast my Hydra. That's the plan. And damage will be during the enlightenment phase. Come on, baby. Let's get this over and done. Alright, so that's the Pit 100 run. Not the fastest, not the slowest as well. One by one. Again, stacking non-physical damage. On the staff, fire damage. On the gloves, fire damage. Rakanoth. Runes, Kree for the Vortex. And Wolf Companion. For the Iris Amulet, two things. You have to consider the highest legendary roll, the one that's between 50 to 200 to 100. This one is at 98, and try to triple crit the binding. The speed and the damage are negligible actually. And I try to get as much crit damage on my Starless Sky. Since we're using a staff, we don't have much critical chance. My crit chance is at 75. You get 15% more from the Paragon, so it's actually 90. The reason why we're using actual conduit is for the maximum resource. We are at 235 with it. I actually skipped 2 points from devastation because I'm using the Inferno. If I wasn't using Inferno, I'd be maxing the devastation. Anyway, skill tree, put max on devastation. Dominance is nice. It's a must. Sorry. And you see on my teleport, I recently removed the shimmering teleport, the damage reduction, since I already have the Paragon points for the damage reduction. So I saved 2 points and I poured them into the more Inferno also. Standard max Hydra, of course, and the crit. You have to do familiar 1 point and get the 10% bonus. Of course, primordial binding for the damage, and mana shield. This one is 2 out of 3. Devouring blaze is a must. Max it. Inner flames is a must. 1 point on ball lightning, and wizard to produce the crackling energy. Why? Because every time you have crackling energy, convulsions give you 20% bonus. And elemental synergies, max this. Evocation The cooldown, you can remove some of the cooldown. You can put it on frigid if you want more mana. But this is working alright for me. And of course, enlightenment. Paragon board. Yeah, I mentioned the Paragon board. Now, here's the what we're doing. Destruction element. It's better to show you here. What we're using, destruction. Elementalist gives non-physical damage increase. Warding gives non-physical damage increase. Tactician doesn't have non-physical, but it buffs the rare nodes on the board. And Pyro gives fire damage and gives rare nodes bonus. I'll show you the board right now. For the starting, this is my original board. Tactician and gives a bonus to non-physical. Ceaseless Conduit, this is the best board to put the destruction since you don't have any non-physical bonus on this board. So you just stack the decks to get the highest, as much critical strike damage. And then second board, Elementalist. See, now we're stacking non-physical. It gives bonus to non-physical. Another bonus right there. This is Enchantment Master, by the way. And Fundamental Release. Warding gives bonus to rare nodes. And there's a bonus to non-physical damage there. Last but not the least, Searing Heat gives 15% crit chance. I mentioned earlier. It doesn't give bonus to non-physical, but it boosts the rare nodes, which is fire, which is non-physical, and as well as critical strike damage. I'll show you my stats. Speed, not caring about speed right now. Chance, crit chance, damage 2077. Fire damage outside is 6,300 with when the enlightenment is on. Powers, there's nothing magical about the powers. I'm just using fire. Vulnerable. So I wouldn't have to worry about things getting vulnerable. And catalyst size, I'm thinking maybe it'll increase the radius of the freeze. Nothing really spectacular magical I found on the powers. I don't think, hopefully I didn't miss anything. So no Vergless, no hand focus, pit 100, 5 minutes, boss in 30-40 seconds, I don't know how much is this one, and stacking physical damage. That's the build, that's what we're doing. What's next? Triple crit maybe, and we'll do some niche builds afterwards. So hopefully you guys I made it wild for you, and I'll see you on the next video, and bye for now.